Hi everybody and welcome to another episode of the Trident Podcast where we discuss all things from millennial struggles to relationships and love and everything in between. I'm Jade.
I'm Maya.
And I'm Kedeisha.
Welcome to another episode, guys. Happy to have you.
Yes.
Hope you're happy to have us.
You better be.
I just
So
I
did
just
I.
What?
I just winked when I said that.
Oh my god, we've been hanging around too much, man.
So funny.
Right,
this
so
episode we thought it would be good to talk about celibacy and abstinence, because what even is the difference, you know what I mean? And everything to do with sex, basically, what we think about it. And I kind of am so here for this episode.
but it's not like sex in the whole like our positions, this, that,
Oh, no,
like what
it's
you'd
more-
expect when you have three young
You
girls
got another
speaking about
episode
sex.
for that.
Yeah, that's next week. I'm joking. But this is more like she said, like the things that people don't really talk about as much. So yeah. So should we kick off by saying the difference between celibacy and abstinence?
Yes, absolutely.
And can I also just say as well, when you first said that in the group chat, abstinence, I thought you meant impotence, which is when you can't actually get an erection.
Really?
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Oh, sorry, no, when you can't sustain one. You can't
No,
sustain one.
impotence is isn't impotence
I
when
don't
you
think it incompetent, no?
no? Oh no, wait, that's incontinence. Impotence is when you can't hold in your wee. No,
No, that's what you just said. Incontinence.
incontinence.
Yeah.
Impotent. Let me Google it.
Impotence is when you can't sustain or get an erection.
Okay. No, I know that because I know that.
Definition of impotence: inability to take effective action or helplessness. Inability in a man to achieve an erection or orgasm.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Interesting.
I didn't know that.
There you go. That's what I'm saying. So that is why, when you said abstinence, I was like, bloody hell. How does she know about that? Fucking hell.
No, that's funny.
But
Yeah, so from what I gathered, celibacy is something that's like long term, like for your whole life kind of thing, something that priests do. A lot of people do it for religion, and it can be either sex or any sexual activity at all. So and yeah, it's more like a long term thing, whereas I think abstinence is more, or sexual abstinence, because there can be other types of abstinence as well. Sexual abstinence is just like a temporary thing. So say if like I'm going to say, okay, well I'm going to be abstinent until I get married, or I'm going to be abstinent until I get some birth control or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's more of like a short term thing.
Or like the one in, I think like a man when they do 90 days.
Yeah.
I did that once.
Abstaining just means staying away from, because you can
Yeah.
abstain from other things as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like alcohol.
Like
Yeah.
exactly. Whereas celibacy is specifically sex
Yeah.
and intimacy type thing related.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you said here, it's a vow. That's the word. So
Yeah.
it's like like a very deep promise almost.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, because
Okay.
I actually didn't know the difference. When I was thinking about it before, I was like, shit.
But the thing is, with celibacy, is it just sexual intercourse,
I think
or
with
is
both
it
of them it
like
can be like
Yeah.
kissing, touching, fondling?
I'm assuming it's sexual intercourse because it's such a big
sexual
thing.
oral.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, because it's such a big thing, like it's a vow, like we said, it's like I don't think it's gonna be the case for everything because they take it very, very seriously.
I would think
Yeah.
it would be everything.
No, I think
Maybe
abstinence
not
would be-
kissing, but everything else, for sure.
Well, maybe then, because obviously you don't want to turn yourself up enough. But I don't know. I hear a lot about people that are celibate but do.
Some
Yeah, I think
people-
it just depends
Some
how
people
you
might
define
like
it.
get off on like less than intercourse. Do you know what I mean? Because if that's your vibe, like somebody, you might grab a boob and then like the woman's coming. Do you know what I mean? Whereas someone, they might have to like have sex for like a good 20 minutes before it will happen. So I would assume that it's just all things sexual.
Okay, fair enough. I agree with that.
That's just a guess though.
But then surely, like, if you're... But then again, I don't know, because I was going to say, like, if you're going to abstain from sex or be celibate, you don't want to do anything to put you in a position where you might break that.
Yeah, that as well.
So then why would you do X, Y, and Z? But then again, maybe you wouldn't do it anyway. Or, yeah, I don't know. It's mad. So, yeah. Would any of you ever consider being celibate or abstaining?
Oh, currently abstaining.
Is that out of choice?
Nah. It's not a choice. No, to be fair, it is and it isn't. It is and it isn't, because I'm a type of person, if I'm going to have sex with somebody, I can't just have sex with anybody. So it needs to be a somebody. So I have to be either really into you and think that it's going somewhere, or I have to be into you and just seeing you at that time, if that makes sense. So I like... Even if I was like going through the droughtest of droughts, I don't think I could like just say, you, come.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah, totally.
So yeah, but I have considered celibacy a couple of times. I'm still considering it now, to be fair, because we've spoken about this before. Really?
Yeah. Not that I think you're like riding upon anything, but it just shocks me because no, like you said, celibacy is such a vow, and I know you, and I know how serious you take things. So if you were gonna do that, you wouldn't just be half about it; you'd be all in. Yeah. Hence why I'm like, right, you'd be willing.
That's why it's still a thought. But like,
why is it even a thought? It's
a thought because number one, I'm in my walk with faith. I'm trying to maneuver and find out. Like, I want to go join a church. And try that again. Obviously, I've been there before and tried it before, and it wasn't for me. But I feel like everything happens for a reason, and that just might have not been the right time in my life where I wasn't taking it in. Huh?
I said, and we are the Tried It podcast.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna try a church. I'm actually gonna go to a church. Well, when this episode comes out, I'm gonna attempt to go to a church this week, and so.
Have you heard of Hillsong?
Yeah, I'm not that church.
Okay.
No, I don't like it when it's too like corny. That comes across as a bit corny.
I went there and it was very what I feel like they did, actually this is a different episode. Why am I even talking about this?
Okay. So where I'm like trying to find, like, get closer to God and build a relationship with God, and obviously, like I said, if I'm gonna have sex with somebody, I want it to mean something. I want to be with that person, and I'm just like, I need to stop giving, because sex is a big thing, and when you give yourself to these like people who just don't value you and what, not that what you're giving to them, because they're obviously giving themselves to you as well, but they just don't value you and see you as like the gift as a person that you are, and they're not willing to value you as a whole. I just feel like it's a bit of a waste. And like, I do believe, not necessarily soul ties, but like, once you have sex with a person, you'd never forget that person. Like, even if your numbers are sky high, I don't think that you could forget who, like, if you sat down, you'd be able to remember everyone that you slept with.
So what about in Love Island when they were doing that quiz, and then they were asking, and then Michael was like, only God knows how many people he slept with?
I mean, people, they might not count, they might not sit down and count, because he probably has slept with a load of people, but he can remember, like, them or where he was, or that time in his life. Like, it ties you to, like, you. Okay, so let's say like he went through a year in his life where he was having like,
how do we know it's not like 3 years, 4 years? They're older now, isn't he? Yeah.
How old is he? He's like 28. That's not old. That's not old.
God only knows. I feel like that's like,
I just feel, he might have only slept with 5 people, and he might just be saying that.
Yeah.
Nobody would know. And in saying that, God probably does only know, because that's what they say. If you ask somebody their body count, they can tell you anything. Doesn't mean it's the truth.
Does body count matter to you?
To me, no.
Really?
Yeah. And I think if you ask me, then you're childish.
Pathetic that. I think that it doesn't matter. It doesn't define you at all. But in terms of, when I say doesn't matter, I mean like in terms of in a heterosexual relationship, it matters a lot with the girls always. Like, boys are always like, how many boys have you slept with? Like, that's always a thing, which I think, yes, immature as fuck. Stop that. Yeah. However, for a boy, I'm not of the belief that, like, yeah, it matters how many I slept with, it doesn't matter how many he slept with at all. I think if you think that, think it both ways. Like, it doesn't matter how many people and it doesn't matter how many. But if you think it for me, then I have to think it for you, for sure. Yeah. And it does, I would like to be with someone who hasn't slept with loads and loads of people. Not because I think it's bad or whatever, but just purely because I do believe in soul ties. And I do believe that it's like an energy exchange. And I feel like everyone you slept with, in a way, has a mark on you. And every time you sleep with someone new, you're not just sleeping with them. I believe this. I think you're sleeping with everyone else they've slept with. So, like, I want to know the lower the numbers, even though this isn't necessarily, this is quite flawed as well, but I see it as the lower the numbers, the more likely it is that you've had an actual connection / relationship with this person, which you've hopefully learnt from or gained something from. And therefore, when you're bringing that to me in my body, it's not as problematic. And I wouldn't say I know this from experience, but I do know that, like, the first person I slept with, for example, has slept with hella people, and the whole interaction was very, I could tell that, do you know what I mean? It wasn't like, I didn't feel like it was special. I didn't feel how how I think women should feel when you're first having sex with someone.
But people can change as well, because think about the age that you were. That same person at 30 years old isn't gonna still
100%.
be the same, but
Definitely.
his numbers are gonna be even higher than they was then.
I agree. It's not completely down to that, obviously.
Yeah.
However,
I
think it's just your mentality
towards it in general.
Towards it in general.
So would you ever be celibate?
I could definitely. Well, to be honest, I sort of was abstinent for about a year and a half. So I had sex at 19, and it was like a dramatic thing, as having sex for the first time always is, mainly I think, for like a lot of girls, especially when you've got like cultural pressures or whatever. Then when I like shortly after that, because it went so badly, I just didn't have sex with anyone until I was with my current boyfriend.
Oh yeah, I was the same. I was the same. I lost my virginity, and then it was about a year and over a year until I had sex again, and then that was with my boyfriend.
I feel like I could do celibacy. I actually have considered it before, and I feel like I tried to say it was because of like religion. It was when I was like really more like into religion and stuff. But I think the reality was probably because I was in a bit of like, it was in a bit of a traumatic relationship, and so that was kind of probably my way of like justifying what I'm doing. But no, I didn't actually do it in the end. But I don't know, I think I could be. I think because of like the traumas that I've had with like my sexual relationship, I think that I definitely could be celibate, because obviously I have so much like negative things attached towards like having sex and stuff, which obviously
really?
yeah I think from where like I had kind of like traumatic experience with my past, like with my first proper like relationship, and it was like went on for so long, I obviously have a lot of like negative connotations that attached with like having a sexual relationship and everything. So I've obviously had, so for me I feel like celibacy was almost like the answer, like if I could I could just go without all of that, like horrible
as a
stuff
single
happen.
person or in a relationship.
Well, I'm kind of like you in the sense that like unless I have someone that I'm like I would only sleep with them at that time. So it's only someone that I know, trusts me, respects me, like knows me for me, that I'm going to be doing it. So like I don't even think to call it abstinence, but I guess I'm abstinent most of the time. Because unless there's someone that I'm really like thinking they're for me, then I'm not going to do it.
And
just anyone.
It's really like accurate what you said as well, because from the research, the most reasons that people are celibate is religion, bad sexual experiences or trauma, literally just wanting to focus on things other than sex, getting over a breakup, or also being asexual, which is interesting to talk about that. And also now women are less shunned for self-pleasure. There's not much of a need of men.
Do you know what's so funny? So I also think that depending on like who you're seeing or dating, so like after I broke up with my last boyfriend and I was single for like a period of time, I honestly believed like I could live without sex. Like I was like, not that the sex with him was bad, because it wasn't, but it was more like about the intimacy rather than like the actual act of sex, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, so I think that's the thing for me, because I don't see sex as something that's like intimate and like loving stuff. But
like
you don't always, you don't always
click like that with people. So I was like, I could just go without, because I'm not gonna get that with anybody else. So I don't need it. I don't need to look elsewhere. Do you know what I mean? So I had that thought before again, and then I met somebody else, and I was like, "Right, no, I need this all the time."
Yeah,
like,
I definitely
I need this every day.
Okay.
Yeah. I definitely think when you meet the right person, and like it definitely will change my perspective if you meet the right person.
Yeah, definitely, for sure, for sure. But also another reason why I've considered celibacy, again with the religious aspect of it, is that I believe, I'm like, why am I still single? Like, I'm a good woman. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would be happy to have me. Yeah, like I have so many good qualities, and like I'm always so good to these guys, and then they just like fuck it up somehow and just like mess me up at the same time, and then I'm back to square one all the time. So I was like, maybe God is telling me I need to lay off the men and like just like keep to myself, and then he will give me a good one. And maybe that's where I'm going wrong. Maybe it's because I keep sleeping with them. So maybe if I don't, then I'll be engaged.
Oh my God.
I I don't know, but like that's how I was thinking.
Yeah,
like maybe God's trying to, because you'll say like, God send me a sign, and he'll throw like a stop sign at your head, and you'll be like,
not that one,
not that one. I wanted a yellow sign.
Yeah, it's funny because I had a very limited like understanding, and I was very ignorant towards sex growing up, because like, as I was saying this to my friend the other day actually, like I was very fetishized, I would say, in general, and then also because I was a virgin, and especially the kind of immature boys I was around, they were like, oh, she's a virgin, oh yeah, I want to beat that first, like that kind of mentality of like, because it just brings you shivers, doesn't it?
It does.
Because they think that when I have sex with her and I take her virginity, she's always gonna have a soft spot for me or whatever that is. And I realised, well, I used to think that, but I realise now, if that was ever the case, it's because of how much trauma and how badly you treat me. Because most often than not, the first guy you have sex with, sadly, doesn't treat you well, or doesn't treat you as, and they don't value it, unless like, it's a very, very, very special person. They aren't always going to treat you or match you where you are. And that goes for both men and women. If there's a very experienced woman and there's a guy who's a virgin and she has sex with him, she's not going to see it in the same way that he is. That's just a fact, I think. And then, after that, if he then uses that, or whoever uses that to their advantage, that's when the trauma starts to happen. And that's when you start associating X, Y, and Z with sex. And that's when you're like, oh my God, I've got a special spot for him because he treated me like shit and he took my virginity and whatever, but I still let him back every time. I think a lot of it's to do with shame. When you feel like you've had sex with someone, especially for the first time, you're like, okay, I don't want my numbers to go up now. Especially as women, we're like, oh my God, no, body count, whatever. So let me not go with anyone else, but let me keep having sex with him, because at least he's already done the damage.
I have friends that have done this on a madness, and it was coming back to me, and they telling me like, oh, he's such a dick, but I can't go to anyone else because I don't want to get my numbers up.
Yeah,
so then they know, like, it's happening.
Yeah, and I think that's crazy. And
I've never said that.
I know people who've done that, for sure. And I feel like as well, it's like, it's very, again, like, it's like a cultural thing as well, and like, whole marriages have lasted because of that, because women feel like, oh, I've really shamed myself, I've shamed lots of people, let me just stick with it now, the devil I know.
I think the only way I would feel like that is if I had like...
kids.
Yeah, 3 kids, 3 different dads, that type thing. Like, if
funny.
I wanted another baby, I'd just go back to one of the other baby daddies, like, type thing. I wouldn't then go and get myself a 4th.
So what do you think about like how...
Or I just wouldn't have any more kids.
This thing about 2 things. First of all, Jamelia, when she did that interview with Dope Black Dads.
Yeah,
and second
it's
of
true,
all,
it's true.
Second of all, when people have kids with each other but they're no longer with each other, and everyone just thinks that there's like a secret code, which just means if one of them are horny and they're both like not in a relationship at the moment, they can just bang each other and it's calm.
Okay, point 1, Jamelia. She did say that she felt that shame, and even her mum was getting on to her saying like, you can't have other kids. Yeah. However, I feel like if there's anyone to like
champion it,
it's her, because
trust me,
she has done such a great job and is doing such a great job that you wouldn't even know or notice, or do you know what I mean? Like she. Yeah.
Same. Jamelia, if you're watching this, we love you.
Yeah, literally.
Honestly.
Like, if you need a new niece, I'm looking for an auntie.
She's so, oh my God, she's so loved. And like, what I really admired as well, when she was like, how obviously a lot of her other baby fathers have other kids as well, and she's like, no, all of us, we're all going to be one big family. I hate you, I despise you, even if I felt those
kids
feelings.
come first.
Exactly, and I tolerate that. That was like really, really
And
important.
for your second point, the code about, I think it is a stereotype, but it's a proven stereotype.
Yeah.
So as much as like people would say it doesn't happen, it does.
It does
happen.
Trust me. And I always say, like, a guy with a kid, it's not the baby, it's the baby mum. It's the drama. You know that there's always going to be that shit.
Yeah.
Not always, that's again a stereotype, but it's just that you have that worry because they've gone the extra mile with each other. How are you going to match that? And therefore that intimacy, and then that's always an open door. Unless
and they're family now.
Yeah.
So that means that she's always going to be, joint number 1, basically.
What do you think, Jade?
I don't know, just one bit that stayed in my head was where you were like, that people kind of have a thing with their first guy, like they always, what was it?
The virginity, you have that hold.
You always have a hold on the virginity, but I don't know, I just think, I don't know, I always try to think about my experiences and if that like is what I don't, because it's hard to see if like your own experience
It's
is
hard
similar
to
to that like, average person.
Yeah.
But like for me, that definitely wasn't the case. It was like the opposite. Like it did not. I don't know if I'm just weird, but like when I lost my virginity and stuff, I just didn't feel any type of way about it. I was just like, all right, like something that I like that did, like that's it. And I didn't like him any more than that I did before. Like I didn't really want to be with him, and he was actually the one that said that like he was the one that wanted to like be with me in the end, and I was still like, oh, I don't know, like we should stop seeing each other. So like I don't feel
You're
like
done.
I have
Yeah.
a hold
Done.
over, like I don't feel like that, but I'm sure, I guess it is a thing that most people do, right? Or I feel like,
I mean, with the
I
person
don't
that I lost
know.
my virginity to, we still talk. Not every day, but like it's like
Really?
a hey, long time, how are
really?
you? Yeah.
And
And
do you feel any type of way?
nah, because the instance where I lost my virginity, I don't even know if it should be called that. Let's be honest.
Okay.
And then later on in life, like about, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years after, like I was like, okay, maybe I should give him a second chance.
Okay.
Because no, I actually liked him.
Yeah, that's always
So-
and that's always the love story that we
Yeah,
love. Like this is
so-
the first guy, and
Yeah.
I
And then
thought
the
that
second
we're
time-
married.
The second time, it wasn't it. Like I thought it was gonna be it. Like we're older now,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it just
yeah.
weren't it
We've got
again.
history.
So it's like,
So you know it
this
100%
ain't it.
didn't
Let's
work.
just be
Yeah, I
friends.
feel like that's what it's
Why are
about.
we forcing it?
And I think it's society pressures. Like people, it's like people are waiting for you to have sex, and they're like, "What's gonna happen now?" And they
Yeah.
put these things out. They're like, "But don't you feel like you like it? Don't you feel like you care more? Don't you feel?" And then they just plant this shit, and then before you know it, you're moving mad. But you don't even care. You didn't even care in the first place. And the other thing I was gonna say as well is, especially if you've had like a relationship with the first person you've had sex with, you have that. It's difficult to separate. Like the pain,
friendship.
the pain from the whole you gave him your virginity or the trauma of the relationship. So sometimes you get them confused, and then you think that, oh, maybe I allow him because of the virginity thing, but actually it's because the relationship was so traumatic and etc. etc. So we just never know really, and I just think this whole virgin thing is so fucking outdated. Like putting virgins on pedestals, I can say from experience, is the shittest thing for everyone.
I'm not gonna lie though. If I was still a virgin, I would be selling it for 2.3 million.
Oh my god, did you see that girl that did that? She sold it on Craigslist or something
Yeah,
for like
I would.
My friend told me to do that. When
And you can side eye me
18.
all you like, because when that 2.3 million hits my account, you're gonna be looking like.
Then
When
imagine
we
every
book in
girl just
Dubai.
selling themselves up on eBay, selling their virginities like that. That just proves that like, we are just kind of like a piece of meat. That's just objectifying ourselves literally for a price.
I mean, if boys could hold out long enough, I'm sure they would sell themselves too.
It's not a female thing, it is a mentality thing. I don't think it's just like, oh, because
Yeah.
we're women, blah, blah, blah. Like she said, I think boys would do that as well. But I just see it as
You
like...
wouldn't sell
Do
it.
you know what? When my friend proposed it to me,
Millions.
yeah, she was like Moroccan, so she was like, yeah, Saudi prince, off we go. You can still do it.
It does sound
And
like,
I'm-
like
it's
the
not-
money,
it's not
yeah.
10
but
grand.
I
And
think
before then, I was like, no, my virginity's gonna be special, like da da da. But looking back,
Exactly.
would I prefer the trauma or a bit of pee?
yeah, I feel like selling it ever.
Sorry,
It's not necessarily that it's like your virginity.
I
it's
agree.
just like selling it ever.
I agree. That's why I would never do it for that reason.
Yeah.
But at the same time, logistically, I'm being honest with you. Like any people who are still watching, women especially who are virgins or listening, sorry, not just watching. Please try your best, even though as hard as it is, to not make it out to be a massive, massive, massive
I thought he
thing.
was gonna say to not sell it.
Oh my
I
God.
thought that's what he was gonna say.
No, to not make it to be a massive thing because you, at that time, think it's going to be huge, and it is to you. But it's just very problematic to think of your virginity in that way. Your virginity does not it's
it
not a
doesn't
measure of
define
your
you,
worth
it doesn't-
at all.
yeah.
But we're told a lot that it does. So you need to get out of that thinking because that's not the case. And you can always message us if you want to talk about that as well, because we can all
Yeah,
share our
that's a good
experiences.
chat, you know.
Yeah. How important is sex to you? We sort of already covered this, but like I know you said you were considering it.
It just depends on like who I'm with, who I'm seeing. Like if I'm single for a period of time where I'm not like seeing or talking to anyone, it's not that deep. I can like you say, like I have a vibrator, I have 2 hands, and I just get on with my life. But if I'm seeing somebody, depending on how like into them I am, which is usually like we established in our previous episode, I'm needy.
It's not needy. It's a love language.
If I'm seeing them, like when I love somebody, I just want to be around you all the time. So like if I'm seeing you, I might just want to just be around you all the time, and like physical touch was up there for me as well. So if your hands on my leg Whoop. There goes my skirt. Oh my.
Let's keep it PG in this. This goes on YouTube as well.
You're talking about celibacy.
I know,
like,
that's
one extreme to the other.
That's why
I'm
I'm
having
so
flashbacks,
surprised.
sorry. It's been a minute.
Okay.
But yeah, so for me, it depends on like message.
I think for me,
How important is sex to you in
yeah,
general?
how important is it to me? For me, I don't know, because there's been times where like I have thought, I feel like when you get into a relationship, or you know, when you're just kind of seeing someone, especially if you're like you're having sex kind of early on, I feel like with some relationships you can kind of, you don't really know them as a person, and you, before you know it, you know, you like the flirting is good, the chat is good, you know, you have a good like chemistry, but actually do you actually know who they are? Do you know what I mean? So you kind of end up in this, and I feel like sometimes, like for example, when I was in a relationship, sometimes I thought like if I didn't have sex with you in the beginning, like would we actually be together? Do you know what I mean? Like if I actually stood there and was like,
This is brilliant. I know I've got something to say after this gone.
if I was really stood there before and was like, right, like who are you? Like, do I like you? Do you like me? Like, do we even
This is
know
why
each other like
celibacy
well
is
enough?
good and promoted, like as far as like the church is concerned, because they say that's how you get to know somebody, because sex clouds your judgment and it clouds your mind, and you start thinking with your vagine.
Yeah.
Don't even make me laugh. Thank you so much. That was so good.
You start thinking
And
with
can
your...
I just say as well, on my retreat, I kept calling my vagine, and everyone was just like, I've never
It
heard
has
it
caught
called
on,
that.
I
It
I
is
say
lovely.
it. Yeah.
Even Kazim says it.
That is the first time it's come out my mouth, but it felt right at the moment.
It was, it
sounded
always
right.
is.
Yeah, but yeah, sex can do that to you. Like you start thinking about, and it's not necessarily again the actual intercourse; it's the intimacy of it. So
Yeah.
you start craving that, and then you start overlooking things. Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, you punched me in the face yesterday, but I just love it when
I
he
love
hugs
that
me.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen, do you know what depicts this perfectly? You know Baby Boy?
Oh fuck, that movie, yeah.
Oh my god. If you haven't watched it, you need to go and watch it now. But there's a scene where he hits her and then he starts going down on her.
Yeah.
And then she's crying while because he hit her obviously, and
Yeah.
he's going down and she's still crying. And then you see her head, like obviously you don't see her head, but in her head she's thinking of these things, and then she has visions of her in a wedding dress and there while he's going down on her, because even though she's crying from a black eye he's just given her, he's going down on her. So she's getting all these good thoughts now, and that's it. Because you think it as well, like when you've, like me anyway, when I've just had sex, I mean like I feel like how could I have had my day without that? Do you know what I mean? It's like addictive almost, and it's like it definitely, like my problems don't seem as bad
It's
after.
the
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can so see that it is that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But going on from what you said about like waiting for sex and all that kind of stuff.
I was
like
gonna say
how
sex on the first date. Is that what you were gonna say?
Yeah, I was sort of gonna
okay.
say. But do you want to say your pick first again?
No, I was gonna say yes or no.
I would say it depends. I used to be such a no, and like the first boy I had sex with, I knew since I was 15. Like that was my level, and then I had a boyfriend and I made him wait like 2 years. That level and literally no sex. But I was young, but even so, it was mad. But then with my current boyfriend, I had sex with him the third time I went to his house. Which for me
it's
is
because
like
you knew him a long time.
rocket
Do you know what I mean?
quick.
You know who he was.
No, I didn't know. I knew him less than I knew the other guys. However, I just could tell this is a guy who respects me and trusts me, and I feel safe.
Yeah.
And that was it. And that's why I know, like, I'm sort of a bit against waiting, because now with my knowledge, because I feel like you're only waiting because you know that there's something a bit funny here, and by waiting you're trying to prove yourself wrong, and you're trying to get him to act right. But you shouldn't be getting him to act right, because a leopard can't change their spots. You should know from the get-go he should have that inbuilt in him, and he's going to treat you this way or whatever. And that's it. And then therefore no one has to punish themselves, because it's a form of punishment. I'm here holding it down, bloody roasting, and he's there doing who knows what with God knows who. And it's an unspoken thing where like everyone's allowed, like when you're dating a girl, when a girl's dating a boy, he's still having sex with other people. It's like pretty, well spread that that's happening. And only recently now, like in the last few years, girls have started to be having sex with people at the same time. But I think that they only do that because they want to even the score. I don't think they even want to be doing that a lot of the time. And it's like a traditional thing that we don't, but they do. They still get their joy, but we've waited for them. But we haven't really fucking waited, because they've been getting it. They've not been waiting while I've been waiting. Do you know what I mean? I just think that whole thing is flawed, and I don't believe in waiting. If you know it's the right person, then do it. If you're waiting for some reason, then it's not the right person.
I agree.
Like, what if you're waiting to like, get to know them? I think it depends on the time period. How long are you waiting?
If you're waiting to
like,
get to
years
know
and
them,
That
years.
shouldn't even be on the table then.
Yeah, exactly. If you're waiting to get to know them, that's different from not having sex with them because you're
Getting them to wait.
making them wait
right,
for the purpose
right,
of making
right,
them wait,
okay.
because he needs to appreciate me, so I'm gonna make him wait 2 weeks before I even kiss him. If you're doing that, then you're just punishing both of you.
And that 90-day thing that I did from Think Like a Man, was that there was a boy who I knew was a joker. He was a nice guy, whatever. I knew he was a joker. We were dating, and he got to a point when he was like pressuring me for sex, and I, in my head, was still counting down days. I even wrote in my calendar, "This is the day you're allowed to have sex with me," and he didn't make it. And I did that on purpose because I knew he wouldn't make it, and I didn't want that on me. Do you know what I mean? So if I knew what I know now, then I wouldn't even have dated him, because if my purpose was to have sex at some point, he's not the guy to do that with.
It's true. I do feel like some people though, they can like play it out like they're the nice guy, but as soon as they realise they're not going to get it straight away, then like the real them comes out and they're like, alright, fuck this.
Definitely.
So that's why I do feel like obviously don't give it might not be that great to like give up straight away if like, do you know what I mean? Because they could be like hitting and quitting.
True.
But like waiting a certain amount of time to see like their like, you know, their intentions
100%.
And like get to know them better.
And also like everything I've just said is from real life experience. I've learnt that from my own journey. So you're not going to know that until you learn it from your own journey. But one thing I would say, especially again like you said about being clouded, when it comes to sex and women, again, we get clouded, like she just said, and we for some reason hate learning from our mistakes, and I don't know why. We just want to pretend it didn't happen, and then we go and do the same thing again. It's like, if you have slept with a shit guy, absolutely fine, no problem, we've all been there, but now don't do that again.
Yeah, I've seen that all too often. 100%. People
and I think this whole thing of like, it's hard because I'm all here for women's rights and everything, and I'm so here for that, and I love the fact that like women can have sex freely now. I'm really here for that. But I don't like it being used as a like a get out clause. Like, I slept with someone shit, I did it again, I feel shit, but YOLO, I can do what I want, I'm a woman as well, I have needs, all of that, because I don't think that's genuine. I don't think you did that for that reason. You did that because you hoped it would go somewhere with this guy. It hasn't, because he's a wanker, which he was from the get-go. And now you want to say, oh, women's rights, I can, liberty, sexual freedom.
So what do you think about girls that like sleep with like many guys that they sleep with?
I have absolutely no problem with it. That's not what I want to do, but I don't believe that there are any women out there who can have sex and feel nothing.
You think?
Yeah, I don't think that's true.
But guys can?
No, I don't think guys can.
Okay.
I don't think anyone can. But I just think that the cloudedness, like you said, I think it's definitely possible to become numb. Because I've been in that situation when I had sex with someone that I was like, fuck, what have I done? That boyfriend who I made wait all these years, and I knew he wasn't the right guy, whatever. And after I was like, oh my god. And then the thing I wanted to do straight after was do it again, because I wanted to like feel something, and I was so hurt by the whole thing, and I was like, oh my god.
You can have sex and feel nothing.
I think not like feel nothing, but like
it doesn't have to be as deep for sure, but to feel absolutely nothing.
Well, you are going to feel something. You're going to feel attraction at the least.
No, but I mean after, if it wasn't the right guy.
After, oh yeah. You can. That's for sure. You can.
You feel nothing.
Yeah.
If it wasn't the right guy.
Yeah, because even though I say like I don't like I've definitely slept with people that I don't like. What am I trying to say? Like, I don't want to be with.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's still a feeling.
What?
Like, if you were okay, those people you had sex with.
As in, like, I knew that it was just going to be that. That time.
Yeah, and now looking back, when you think of them, are you like, oh, you're like.
I'm not really like I'm not really like but I'm not. I don't know. I'm just like, it's what it is. I mean, could I have gone without it? Hell yeah. Like.
But you did it because it was fun. That's what you
But
wanted
I
to do.
did it because that's what I wanted to do in the moment.
I don't think you have to feel any type of way about it.
Yeah, and I don't think about them people. I remember them because, like I say,
you don't forget,
I don't think about them.
I don't think you should feel bad. I'm not saying that, but I think that it occurs, and I think that like, especially like you're saying now, you said, I keep getting these shit guys, and then God gives you a sign. Maybe this is the thing I need to do when you're talking about thinking about celibacy. Do you not think that those guys that you slept with at the time, even though it was fun or whatever, who you don't think about anymore, might be part of the reason why you're like, this is a shit guy, and I gave it to him for no reason, or whatever the reason, do you know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah, so that is my point.
But
like,
in the moment, that's what I wanted to do.
No, yeah, definitely, but after, at some point, you're going to think, not like I regret it, but like, could have gone without that, like you just said.
Okay.
Yeah, but you're saying that no girl has sex with a guy without having feelings, as in feelings for him, towards him.
No, I don't mean that. I mean no girl has sex with a guy and at no point feels like, you know, there's some girls out there who's like, yeah, I slept with this man, I don't care, I do this, I do that. I think that you do care somewhere. like, I just think that, like, to sleep with multiple people, you must be trying to cover something up or get some
You think
kind
it's
of...
like filling a void?
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
So you think there's... Okay, so there must be like a deeper issue.
Yes, definitely, exactly. And I think every time you like have sex with someone else, you're just trying to numb that more and more and more, so that you hope that at some point you don't even feel it anymore. So that's what I'm saying. I do think it's possible to numb it, because it will get to a point where it doesn't have any kind of connotation or feeling towards it anymore, because you're just like, it is what it is. It's just another one. But I don't think that there's like at no point no girl ever sits there and she's like, oh fucking hell, I shouldn't have done. Or
And the guy as well.
yeah, definitely, and the guy, like, for sure. I don't think that when Michael says it on Love Island, like, God only knows, that at no point he's ever thought and said, fuck, like, maybe I shouldn't have done that many times with that many girls and feel, because with guys I think it's more that, like,
that just goes without saying then, because everyone thinks and recaps about what they've done and has feelings towards that, and that's not specific to sex.
Yeah, I agree, but I just think
you might think, oh shit, I shouldn't have ate all of them biscuits, and that doesn't mean that every time I pick up a biscuit I'm having this emotional back and forth in my head. It doesn't mean that. It just means I know I shouldn't be eating this many biscuits, but I'm going to do it anyway because that's what I want to do. And I'm grown.
I feel really torn. On the one hand, I hear what you're saying, and I think that if
to
you're
me
going
it just
around
sounds
reckless,
very broad. Like, you know, when you read like a horoscope and it's like, it's going to be sunny today. Yeah, I know, the weather app told me. That is just like saying everyone's going to have a thought about it at one point in their life. Like, should I? But of course they are, because that's life.
No, I know, but I'm trying to describe the girls who are now on this whole, like, I can have sex with whoever I want to because I'm a woman in 2019 and I'm here for that whole freedom. No one's judging me. No one's holding me back. I can do that. Those kind of girls, yeah? Which everyone is in a sense, but girls who are Maura, for example, if she had loads of sexual partners, which she says she hasn't, but say she talks how she talks, and she's had loads of sexual partners, and she was like having sex with people in the villa as well, for example. If she turned around and was like, I just love sex, I have sex with whoever I want, and blah, 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 I'm here for it. I don't think personally that is 100% true. I think that yes, she enjoys sex for sure.
There has to be a
there has to
reason.
be a kind of void that she's trying to fill. I just think
but that doesn't apply for boys.
Yeah, it does. It does apply for boys, but boys have always been open about the fact that they sleep with this many people, and that's what they're there for. And women have been saying for centuries that, like,
I think as well. I think it depends as well, because obviously, when you, like, for example, I'm going to use technology as an example. We grew up and we've seen technology develop and develop and develop. So there's 6-year-olds out there now that can work an iPhone better than I can. So that's all that they know. So you're using people of an older age, but like people who are like 15, 16 now, who have just started having sex, and all they know is women liberation, that we can do what we want. It doesn't mean that they're filling a void. It just means that that's what they feel that they can do, and that's what they believe they can do, because that's what they're seeing these days. Do you get it?
True, yeah, fair
Because I think, obviously all the guys, I feel like, you know, there's stereotypically a lot of guys that would be like sleeping with loads and loads and loads of girls. Like, I feel like every guy obviously has that pressure, as we know, from the whole toxic masculinity thing. And I don't necessarily think all of them have a void that they need to fill. So that makes me think the same about women. Do you know what I mean? I guess we know it can be addictive, and like, if you just like the feeling, I think it's lack of caring. It might be like a lack of care, like not thinking so much about what you're actually doing and who this person is, and like, you know, the risk that you're taking, obviously, with like STDs and like, all that stuff. So it might just be a lack of carelessness, but I don't necessarily think there's like a void that they're
I
trying
think
to fill.
that is the case for obviously some people, but I just don't think
you can't generalise.
I don't think that you can say it's for everyone. Because
I do feel like I'm stuck in this kind of.
Because if you was to decide tomorrow that you wanted to break up with your boyfriend and sleep with whoever you wanted, I wouldn't think, what's that void that she's trying to fill? Like, what is happening? Like, I just think that's what she wants to do. That's what she wants to do.
I have seen it though on some people for sure, that they've like gone out and like they do
on a rampage.
Yeah.
And then you find out it's because they were touched up when they were 3 years old.
No, that they like are feeling really like lonely and like low in self-confidence because they've broken up with their partner and they hadn't been loving themselves properly, and you know.
I just feel like that's with anything though.
I just think sex is a bit different because it is such an intimate thing. Obviously, not like everyone sees it that way, but I just mean physically it is intimate. Do you know what I mean? There's a person in you that is intimate.
Yeah.
And also, I guess the reason I have those thoughts that I just said is because, and I do have them towards men as well, but the reason I'm more like on it about women is because we carry a lot more of the risk. We are the ones who get pregnant. We are the ones who, and I know men should be there if you get pregnant or whatever, but the majority of times when those kind of situations happen, sadly, that isn't the case. Men skedaddle a lot of the time. That's why I feel it, because I just feel like as women, we do get the raw deal a lot of the time, and I am happy that we can now have sex freely. I'm really happy about that. But at the same time, I do feel like we have a responsibility to ourselves, not to anyone else. Not that we need to be like all this preserved like Virgin Mary for the men's sake, but for ourselves, we need to know who we're letting into us and who we're doing stuff with. And when we don't do that, and we're like not reckless, but we're like having sex with whoever we want, and we're like, oh yeah, one night stand here, done that there, blah blah blah, you leave yourself vulnerable to loads of other things. And I don't just mean physical, I mean emotional as well. Like I do think it has a toll on you emotionally. So for me personally, when there's a girl shouting out like, I love it babe, I just have sex with whoever I want, I'm never truly like sold on it. I'm just a bit like, okay, do what you want to do, but I don't personally believe that.
Fair enough. What do you think is more intimate, kissing or sexual intercourse?
I feel like it depends on like the mood, like how are you having sex, how are you kissing, do you know what I mean? It depends on like, because you know, you could just bang and it's just like, you know, just do it like really, you know what I mean? Or you could just have a kiss that's just like, alright, I'm just gonna kiss. Or you could like make it, you know, you make it passionate and you make it like nice.
I think it depends on what sexual intercourse means to you. Does sexual intercourse to you just mean willy in regime? Or, because for me, I can't imagine sex like that. Like, I need a lot of foreplay and kissing and loads of, like, stuff that,
I'm talking
to get
about,
to that point.
Like, sausage in the hole. Talking about lime in the coconut.
Oh, okay.
We're talking about peanut in the
okay.
peanut butter. Have you seen my other kids?
Yeah, I know.
Love that show.
What is more intimate? That's tough.
Okay, we don't have all day.
I think it is sexual intercourse. Because willy in is a mad thing.
No, I agree.
Yeah. But kissing,
I
can understand why that is also intimate, because that's a step towards that. Do you know what I mean? That's why that is intimate. But yeah, sexual intercourse is proper intimate. So I was quite surprised by the research, like, and the numbers of things as well. The statistics were showing that the proportion of people reported to have no sex in the past month has increased from 23% to 29.3% among women, and from 26% to 29.2% among men between 2001 to 2012. So
is that because we're more busy?
I think we're more stressed.
Oh.
We've got a lot to
Yeah, a lot of
about.
people were saying that because we're more stressed. And I think because more women are like pleasuring themselves. I think, and there was another stat that said something about people that are in couples are having less sex as well.
Oh,
like
I have
marriages.
a fun fact.
Okay, you go ahead.
Like it's gone down to like 2 times a month, 2 times a week. I can't remember.
The average number of times that 35 to 44-year-olds are reported having sex in the past month fell from 4 to 2 for women and 4 to 3 for men.
I think it's just because in the past, women, especially in a marriage, felt that role, that pressure that you have to provide for your man. What do you mean no? Like, where else am I going to get it from?
Marital rape was only criminalised in
like
94.
yeah.
That's 2 years before I was born.
God.
How
Yeah.
disgusting.
Yeah.
In this country, in England, of all places. Mental.
Why can't I find this fact?
Yeah, it's mad. And so I think that more women now actually, and I think people honestly are probably just talking more, like, are being more honest about how many times they actually do it. Because people have so much shame about saying, oh, like, you know, maybe they don't have sex as much. You know, everyone is always comparing, like, oh, what's the average? How much sex is everyone else having? So maybe these days, because obviously we're more educated and there's more female empowerment and everything, and also less pressure on men. Like nowadays we're talking a lot more that men don't always have to want to do it, and always have to, you know, be that whole toxic masculinity stereotype and having sex every day. So yeah, I think that maybe people are just more honest, and the statistics have just been.
Married people are more likely to masturbate than people living alone. Did you know that?
Yeah, because you're sleeping next to someone, and then that's it. Do you know what I mean? You want a bit more than that, but not all the way to having sex with that person. So
What?
you probably, because you know when you're next
Your
to someone,
husband.
I cannot be in the mood for sex, and then I'm sleeping or lying next to my boyfriend, and suddenly I'm in the mood. But then imagine it, like, I wasn't attracted to him anymore, or, you know, it's just I'm busy, he's tired, or whatever, you can't actually have sex, but you still have that little buzz. So you got to sort yourself out. Whereas if you're sleeping alone, you don't have that same kind of stimulus. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
That's very surprising to me.
Yeah. Right.
But I mean, I do get it because I don't know. No, I don't get it. It's a bit mad.
I was surprised that less than half, so 41% of people aged 16 to 44 have had sex at least once a week in the last month. At least once a week, though. I'd thought that'd be like at least 3 times or at least twice. 16 to 44.
But say you're single.
Yeah, true. And 16 is still young, I think.
Having sex at least once per week can lower a man's risk of heart attack and heart disease by 30 to 50%.
Jeez.
What does it do for women?
Doesn't say women, this fact. It says
Trust
it
me.
has also been
Bastards.
shown that men with an active sex life are more likely to live past 80.
I can believe that. I feel like I get a new lease of life every time I have sex. Literally, I
You
honestly
get an extra
do.
3 days.
Oh, that. Lord knows
tired.
I get exercise as well.
Yeah.
Heart rate goes straight up.
That's funny. The amount of semen produced with each ejaculation is 1 to 2 teaspoons. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Did ya?
Yeah.
How much did you think?
I don't think it would be that much.
1 to 2 teaspoons. I feel like it should be more than
During 30 minutes of active sex, the average person burns approximately 200 calories.
Yeah, I've heard that before. And as a PT, I don't know if I agree.
Approximately 70% of men refuse to have sex during their girlfriend's period.
Oh, that is
That
like,
doesn't
this
surprise
needs
me.
to stop, okay? Because once a month, I should not be punished for what I have to go through.
Yeah. If a girl wants to do it, why are you complaining? Do you know what I mean? She's
Trust
the one going
me.
through it.
That's what I'm saying.
But
Yeah. Kedeisha's face.
I wouldn't want to do it, but like, if you did want to do it and you're the girl and your man's like, no. Like, what
As
do
you
you
know from
care? You
previous
can just go
episodes,
wash
that
yourself.
does not bother me. But remember that episode when she was like, I literally didn't even know her last name when she told me she has this.
Oh yeah.
Shout out Victoria.
Okay.
Freedom for Girls episode. Go watch it. Go.
Let's wrap up.
Okay. Shout outs.
Shit. I don't have a shout
You don't
out.
have a song.
Yeah, either do I, but I thought, what just now?
Hold on, you go first.
Do you know what, yeah? I'm shouting out for all the ladies out there, yeah? Those little, like, bullet vibrating
I
thingies,
knew you were
alright?
gonna say that.
If you haven't got one, go and get yourself one.
Can you give a brand so that we can
I
at
don't
them?
know a brand name off the top of my head, but, like, go into, like, any... What's it called? That...
Sex shop.
No. I don't want to call it that.
And
no, what's
Summers.
it? Yeah, go in that. And even if you go Cheeky and Summers, do you know what I mean? It's right down. It's probably on your local high street, do you know what I mean? You can just go in there, grab one. Like Amazon, that shit, and they do it like they hide the packaging so that when it gets delivered to your house, like it's anonymous, no one's going to see in your house. Do you know what I mean? That you've ordered it, you know, your mum's picking it up. Like,
Did you do that?
yeah. But yeah, get one. It'll change your life, man. It'll change your life. Even if you have a partner or not, like I just say do it.
I'm gonna get I'm gonna get one of them, but I'm also gonna get a name so that we can at them and hopefully get some sent to us. How can I go?
Yeah.
I watched a really, really good film on Netty. I got 2 good films on Netty. First one is called Blindspotted. Very good, and I highly recommend it. Everyone go watch that. Second one is Beats. I watched it today, and it's got the dad from Blackish in it. So good, and it really, really explains and shows anxiety in a very real way, especially in young men. And I can really relate to it a lot because I see a lot of like similarities with my brother, and I just think it was like so. It had me in tears. I cried quite a lot.
Really?
Yeah, but I cried at a lot of things. But it was also sad. You will get upset too. So I would highly recommend it.
Okay. I am going to shout out a song. No, an album. It's Drake has released the Care
Is
Package.
this your special album that you play when the time comes?
Oh, very good question.
No, but do you
I
know
hate
what? Do you know what
music.
songs
no, I
are?
can't
Do you
tell
know
you
what
if I need to go
songs
to
are
the
banger
beat
for
and
that? Future Rich Sex, but that's not my shout out. But
All right.
It should
I'm
be.
gonna listen to that. But no, Drake Care Package, where he's put like all of his old songs that never made any albums or that. Actually, I think one did, but they didn't make any albums. They were just singles that he just was like, they were just on Soundcloud, and he's remixed and mastered them and put them together as a care package and given it to us. and it's the best thing, and I've been listening to it on repeat for the last
okay.
week.
Quick question, and then we're actually gonna go. Do you have sex to music?
Not as a thing. I don't say let's get it on when we get my playlist up, but like it depends. Like I have done, but I don't always.
Okay. No, I just feel like then you got to go to the beat, and
Are
I
you
just
about
feel
to tell
like
me
it's
you've
distracting.
got a song?
No, I hate it.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
even like music, as you know. So to
Mm.
do that is just annoying, and I hate light as well. If it's artificial, natural light, I've got no problem. But if it's like light in my eyes, that really turns me off. And having no socks on. And there's a study that shows that it's harder for women to orgasm if they've got light in their eyes and their feet are cold. So I ensure that that's not the case for me. My conditions are perfect. Let's wrap this
Oh
up.
my god.
We've been lovely having you.
Thanks for
We hope you
listening,
enjoyed,
guys.
guys. Bye.
Bye.